Too big for someone like Terence.
I mean, that's true. But you know what? There's always a way. Put it that there's always a way. There's always a way to win.
I think Bud gonna cook Canelo. I think he's gonna cook him. I think, Canelo a hell of a fighter, but I think Bud just got all the tools to beat him.
You don't think the weight difference is gonna be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, in certain fights,
Boxing makes it something, not us.
like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down.
The world of boxing waits with bated breath as two pound-for-pound monarchs are set to clash. With reputation on the line, legends of boxing chime in with their last forecast for Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford, and the reactions are dynamite. Initially, fans and analysts alike rallied behind Canelo Alvarez as the clear favorite, with Teofimo Lopez leading the charge. Lopez, among many others, praised Canelo's power, experience, and proven track record at the highest level. The early consensus leaned heavily toward the Mexican superstar, expecting his pressure and strength to overwhelm Crawford.
I still say Canelo.
I got Canelo too.
I still say Canelo. Ring IQ, I believe that Crawford has a bit more.
Yep.
However, it's just the size difference. I think that where Crawford is lacking is that he should test the waters even with somebody at that weight class before facing Canelo. But hey, they say he's a dog. He's got shot in the head and drove to the hospital, so maybe that's just his mentality.
Hey, let's see. Only one way to find out till that day comes.
It's the only way, but I definitely think that it's a great fight overall. Black and brown is how you get down.
That's right.
Meanwhile, Sean Porter also had his doubts regarding Crawford's capacity to deal with Canelo's power, questioning whether Crawford would be able to take those tough punches. Porter highlighted Canelo's strength and toughness, and he implied that the toughness could prove to be a huge test for Crawford in the ring. Although he admires the ability of Crawford, Porter opines that when it comes to the matter of taking big shots, Canelo is the obvious choice, and this could be the point of turning in the bow.
The others say, no, that's 2 more weight classes. Once he gets touched by Canelo, it's going to be different.
I am concerned about him absorbing a Canelo punch, especially through the course of 12 rounds. We do know this about Canelo. He's going to slow down, so I think if anything, Canelo would try to start fast and bang on him and break him down before he gets later, and he still got that kind of steam. But, there's so many components that make a champion. There's so many components that make a great, a legend. It's just so much to go into. It's a conversation that lasts an hour easily when we talk about all of the components that Terence Crawford has, all of the components that Canelo have, and how we find how they even out and who trumps one another, you know what I mean? We tried to do that with Errol Spence and Terence Crawford, and we see how that panned out, you know what I mean? So
Juan Manuel Marquez also had the same issues, pointing out that the weight increase might affect Crawford's performance. Marquez indicated that fighting up to take on a larger, stronger fighter such as Canelo may hurt Crawford's speed and endurance. He fears that the difference in size would be the determining factor, potentially favoring Canelo with power and endurance. Similar to Porter, Marquez appreciates Crawford's ability, but isn't entirely certain Crawford is able to take the physical toll at this weight.
I don't like the fight because Terence Crawford is a good fighter, but in the sport of boxing, it has divisions. You know what I mean?
Right, weight classes.
Right? Yeah, weight classes
for a reason.
Weight classes and Terence Crawford is a good fighter in super lightweight, welterweight, super welterweight, but I think more. I remember when Terence Crawford fought with Madrimov.
Yes.
He looks slow. He looks with no power, and 3 more divisions. Two more divisions. I think it's a top fight for Terence Crawford, but Terence Crawford is a great fighter. He has a great defense. He has a good combination of punches, but I think the weight class is no good for him.
Adding to the roll call of Canelo believers, Jim Lampley applauded how much Canelo has learned from the best in the game, Floyd Mayweather. Lampley pointed to the development of Canelo in defense, ring IQ, and adjustability, refined skills honed by observing the best at the game. He thinks this experience provides Canelo with a tactical advantage that should not be overlooked. With voices such as Lampley's supporting him, the argument for Canelo is still strong, presenting this fight as an actual battle of boxing minds and styles.
Canelo's smart. Absolutely, he's smart. He knows
this business as well as anybody. So no, it's not surprising that Canelo learned from Floyd and has employed some of that in the retention of his career. Canelo still knows how to make fireworks when he absolutely has to make fireworks. But at the end of the day, he's a counterpuncher. He's a great defender. He has the most solid punch resistance of anybody in the sport. Nobody's ever knocked him off balance. Nobody's ever really knocked him down. There's only one official knockdown in his career, and it was because he bounced off the ropes when Jose Cotto hit him with a hard shot to the chest. And the referee had a strict interpretation of the rules and said, oh, the ropes held you up, so that's a knockdown. He's never been put on his back by anybody. He rides horseback every morning. His legs are the strongest in the sport. You're not going to beat Canelo until somehow over a long period of time, Canelo beats himself. If he gets tired of all the discipline he has had to employ to make all the money he's made, if he has enough giant ranches in the Yucatan, if he has enough beautiful horses, if he has had enough unforgettable dinners with Mexican billionaires in Vegas, then maybe. But my guess is he will retire without incurring another loss, because it's important to him to do that.
Which implies you like him against Bud Crawford.
I do like him against Bud Crawford, but I do think that it's a great fight. Now, I could change my mind when we get closer. Bud Crawford, to me, is a latter-day Sugar Ray Robinson. He has the multiple skills of Sugar Ray Robinson. He can defend or attack. He has a deep inner mean streak that he can employ at any moment in a fight to get what he wants. Before the fight against, help me out here,
Madrimov was his last fight. Spence?
Spence.
Yes.
Before the fight against Errol Spence, there were quite a lot of people in the sport, in boxing media, who were saying, I like Spence to win the fight. I was one of those people who said, no way. Errol Spence doesn't have the depth and the intellectual understanding of prize fighting to beat Terence Crawford, who is the great professional of his era, along with Canelo Alvarez.
But since that Canelo versus Callum Smith fight, even though Canelo won, the absence of speed and drama sowed seeds of skepticism among the fans and pundits. Oscar De La Hoya was one of the first to publicly decry the bout as being disappointing and ask if Canelo's style was changing or getting overly cautious. That bout raised questions about whether Canelo would be able to hold on to that dynamic advantage that made him so exciting inside the ring.
The facts are that they're over 35 years old both, and I remember I fought Chavez when he was 32 and he was 99-1 and people thought he was over the hill. So
Have you changed your pick for that fight, Oscar, based on how Canelo looked against Skull?
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say because Canelo, obviously he walks on quicksand. We saw it against Skull once again. Crawford is very, he's not one-dimensional. He can move, he can box, he can, I don't know how hard he hits to keep Canelo away from him, but, I think it's going to be very interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the fight.
Consequently, numerous analysts began to favor Crawford, the first of them being Teddy Atlas, who didn't mince words. Selecting Terence Crawford to pull the upset, Atlas likened the fight to Pacquiao versus De La Hoya, in which the smaller man stunned the world with speed, timing, and accuracy. He thinks that Crawford's ring IQ and versatility will prove decisive, similar to Pacquiao's. Size will not count when greatness enters the ring, says Atlas.
Again, people are going to say Canelo's too big. He had trouble with a 154-pound guy when he went up from welterweight to that. So now he's going up to 168. Teddy, come on. How are you going to make an argument? You're going to make an argument to this, to the history of this sport, where little guys have been able to beat big guys, because you reverse it. You reverse who's got the advantage and the disadvantage. Yeah, the size, the power of Canelo, he's got the advantage. Then all of a sudden you go back and you say, wait a minute. The other guy's faster. The other guy's craftier. The other guy has more options. The other guy is slicker. Oh, well, maybe he's got the advantages. Like the first time Pacquiao fought De La Hoya. And I know De La Hoya was having trouble with weight and all that. I get it. And that's fair. But still, I remember I picked that one. Well, every once in a while I pick one right. I remember that I picked that one where Pacquiao's going to win. And I said, yeah, you're saying that De La Hoya's bigger, he's stronger, he's got the power edge, he's got this edge, but the other guy's quicker. And that's going to be an edge, and it was.
Teddy Atlas also supported Terence Crawford by saying that he possesses the elusive X factor which distinguishes great fighters from the exceptionally great ones. He referred to previous upsets such as Pacquiao versus De La Hoya, where timing, speed, and ring intelligence overpowered size and power. Atlas detects something of the same sort cooking here. A tempest Canelo may not be prepared to handle. Though evasive, his faith in Crawford says much. This isn't a prediction, it's a warning.
I'm one of the people that thinks Crawford is very, very special. I'm not saying Canelo's not, but I think he's special in a different way, where he's got instincts that not everyone has. Yeah. That it's the timing, it's the instinctual things, the X factors, the intangibles that he has. And I think they're going to show themselves. I really do. And I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait. Yeah. I can't wait to see a smaller guy use those intangibles, use those X factors to beat a bigger guy. I always wanted to see David and Goliath live. Yeah. Didn't you?
Of course, absolutely. I would as well.
Okay, we'll get ready to watch.
Moving on, Sugar Ray Leonard has expressed firm faith in Terence Crawford, predicting that he'll step up against Canelo Alvarez. Not overthinking, Leonard simply said, "There's always a way to win," positing that Crawford's intelligence, timing, and toughness could be the recipe. From a legend who fought and defeated the best, words mean everything. Leonard did not dissect it. He did not need to. His serene confidence in Crawford tells fans all they need to know.
Too big for someone like Terence. That's true. But you know what? There's always a way. Put it that there's always a way. There's always a way to win.
Josh Taylor has also backed Terence Crawford, joining the increasing number of champions who believe Bud has what it takes to do the job. Taylor, a former undisputed super lightweight champion, was full of praise for Crawford's all-around ability and fight IQ, which he thought would enable him to outfight and outbox Canelo. Taylor did not get too deep into strategy, but his faith in Crawford was evident. His all-around ability is just on another level. With combatants like Taylor and Leonard in his corner, the odds now appear to be in favor of Bud.
Canelo Crawford, what's your prediction for that?
Crawford. I don't know, it's a tough one to be fair, but I think Crawford definitely has got the ability and the skill to outbox him and outmaneuver him. But I don't know if he's quite as cute as got the nuances how Mayweather done it, but it was obviously that's the blueprint. And Crawford can switch hit as well, and he can do the same things as what Mayweather done, but he's just not quite as cute as it at it, But yeah, it's an intriguing fight. It's certainly an interesting fight. One I'll definitely be staying up to watch.
Tony Beaulieu joined the chorus in the Crawford camp with one overriding reason: speed. The ex-cruiserweight champion is convinced that Crawford's rapidity of hand as well as foot will prove the difference against Canelo's power and pressure. Beaulieu had no hesitation in supporting Crawford, observing that speed is deadly in boxing, particularly when combined with great ring IQ. Monikers such as Taylor, Leonard, and Belleau all tipping to Bud. The conviction of Crawford's greatness is ringing louder than ever.
He's not old by any stretch of the imagination. No, he's an exceptional fighter, Canelo. But the way that everyone will think is weight classes exist for a reason, and they're thinking Bud's going up too much. Bud's actually big. Terence Crawford's a big dude. I've been around him. I know him. Yeah, fair. And he's a brilliant fighter. Technically very adaptive. Can do it all. Has got power. The Errol Spence fight tells you everything you need to know. The Errol Spence fight, he was unbelievable. And Errol Spence is a seriously physically strong guy, right, with power. Errol Spence, mate, is the modern day Marvin Hagler. He was a force to be reckoned with. And he brushed Errol Spence aside like he was nothing. And bullied him. And once again, I predicted that fight. I said he'd stop Errol Spence late. No one's seen that coming. It's just styles make fights so much. And Errol likes to wait and be powerful. Canelo's similar. Canelo likes to wait. It has to be all at Canelo's rate and pace. Right. He's not going to get that way with Terence Crawford.
No. You think?
I just think Terence Crawford will outwork him, will pot shot him, and I think he'll win on points.
Shakur Stevenson also pledged his support for Terence Crawford, hailing his flashy style and in-ring smarts. The young sensation views Crawford's quickness and ability to adjust as the ideal combination to deal with Canelo's power and experience. Stevenson's support brings new vitality to the hype, noting how even the next generation of contenders honors Crawford's skill. With so many heavy hitters leaning on him, Crawford's confidence and faith in his win only grows larger.
I think Bud gonna cook Canelo. I think he's gonna cook him. I think, Canelo a hell of a fighter, but I think Bud just got all the tools to beat him.
You don't think the weight difference is gonna be too big of an advantage?
I think y'all make that something, in certain fights,
Boxing makes it something, not us.
like if this was like a Benavidez, he's actually a lot bigger than Bud, so that would like apply. But I feel like with Canelo, he's like physically kind of big, but like height-wise, he's kind of small. So I don't think so, no.
Corey, how you got a decision to stop it? Because Bradman and Boozy think that Bud actually might stop it.
Me and Boozy talked about that. That's crazy. Me and him got on the phone and talked about it, but I think that's possible. Like, I'm not saying, but I think it's a possibility if Canelo gets to acting out of line and not understanding that Bud can crack too. So.
Andre Ward, too, was standing strong in defense of Terence Crawford, applauding his technical prowess and mental fortitude. Ward pointed out the value of Crawford's ability to adjust mid-bout and dictate the tempo, skills that render him the better man for any opponent, even Canelo. With Ward being a two-division legend himself, his recommendation is taken very seriously in the sport of boxing. His affirmation lends further credibility to the sentiments of champions who believe that Crawford possesses the mettle to emerge victorious in the much-hyped showdown.
I'm going with Terence Crawford. Big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. It ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this the last couple of years. I'm not betting against Terence Crawford against nobody right now. You got to show me that you can beat him.
Bernard Hopkins added his voice to the list of praise for Terence Crawford, singling out his quick boxing IQ and strategic thinking. The all-time great former middleweight and light heavyweight champion is of the opinion that Crawford's intelligence to outsmart and outmaneuver others makes him a serious contender to beat Canelo. Hopkins' seal of approval comes with heavyweight status because of his decades-long experience at the elite level. His faith in Crawford's ability set another booming voice to say that Bud possesses what it takes to take down this gargantuan fight.
Is his skill so much that he's able to bridge the weight classes?
He has a legitimate chance. Over 60% for his mind. If you say, Bernard, give me a number.
Give me a number.
He has an 85+ chance to beat Canelo. Why? He's not going in there to prove something, which will fall into Canelo's hand. He would love for him to prove something. That means you will stay there and try to prove something. But to go in there and to let him know, establish that from the first round, that I belong without showing that I am tough. I earned my position to be here. And I want to show you, even though you're being stubborn, that your time not only have came, but it's gone. He ain't gonna surrender and say I'll slow down.
All of this support has obviously gained Crawford's confidence. Speaking in a recent interview with Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo, Crawford openly declared that speed will be the crucial element to beat Canelo. This admission indicates how much support from legends and fellow fighters has set his confidence ablaze. Crawford realizes that outmaneuvering and outpacing Canelo may reverse the tide, and thus speed is the weapon that may ultimately seal the fate of this showdown of the century.
Your advantages and his advantages, I feel I got the speed over Canelo. I got the reach over him. He might got the size, the power. I feel like, I got the better skills, boxing skills.
How would you break that fight down? Like, how would you fight a bigger guy that's the same size as you? I mean, would it be more of a cat and mouse? Like, would you be using a lot of angles, a lot of...
Man,
power. The reality is, man. The reality is Canelo does put people out, dude. From Kirkland to Amir Khan to just.
Don't do
obviously, it's talking about Amir Khan. No, but he's not. Kovalev. Come on, we have to respect.
Kovalev was older.
The power of Canelo.
He does have power.
Goes to the body.
Don't get me wrong. He does have a lot of power. But all those guys that you name, is not as skillful as me. I'm sorry. No disrespect to none of those fighters, but when you see the skill level, it's night and day.
So how do you see a fight with Canelo?
Throughout the interview, Crawford had great respect for Canelo, but didn't hesitate to stand behind his own ability. He acknowledged that all the doubting and questioning had only made him even hotter. Rather than letting the doubters bring him down, Crawford let them fuel his fire and push him to show everyone just why he is among the best to ever have stepped into a boxing ring.
Tough fight. Like, Canelo is a great fighter. Like, I always had respect for Canelo. I always, liked it to watch him and things like that. I think he does a lot of great things in the ring. I think he work hard. I think his work ethic is, to the roof. But I just believe in my skills. I believe in me, and the fact that people doubt me, it just fueled me even more just to try to get the fight even more. I remember back in the day, I was just like, man, they was like, man, would you ever fight Canelo? I was like, man, Canelo too big.
And there you have it, the last predictions from some of boxing's greatest legends and toughest warriors on the mythical battle between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Whether you're on Team Canelo, convinced he can outmuscle Crawford with experience, or Team Crawford, convinced that his speed and ring IQ will steal the show, one thing's certain, this fight is going to be one for the ages. Both fighters give it their all, and the globe will be on the edge of their seats, watching each punch, each moment, each second. If you like this analysis and want more expert opinions, predictions, and fight breakdown, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for all the new boxing content. Leave your prediction in the comments. Who's your money on? Thanks for watching, and get ready, because this fight for pound dominance is going to rock the world of boxing to its foundation.